Hey guys, so we're here to chat about The Boy Who Harnessed the Wind for the final time. And we're going to talk about the epilogue a little bit. I am actually not going to read the whole epilogue to you because it is a little bit long. But an epilogue is like almost like a PS that the author wants to give at the end. Like, hey, since I wrote this autobiography, there's been some more updates. So prologue is something that comes at the beginning, like I'm telling my autobiography about this part of my life, but I think you should know that this happened first. And an epilogue is something that happens at the end. So my story ended here, my biography ended here, but then more things happened that I wanted to add in for this edition of the book. So since the first edition of the book came out, more things happened to William Kamkwamba. So I'm going to kind of pick and choose and read parts of it to you, and then we're going to answer some questions about it. So the first thing that he shares, I'll just read this very first paragraph. While I was traveling in America over Christmas in 2007, I received some wonderful news. I'd been offered a scholarship to the African Leadership Academy, ALA, in an exciting new high school that was opening in Johannesburg, South Africa. Its students were chosen from across Africa's 53 countries, with the goal being to train the continent's next generation of leaders. Out of the 1,700 students who applied, only 106 were selected. So almost 2,000 people applied and only 106 got in. Many, many more people that didn't get in than that did. Many were entrepreneurs and inventors who'd overcome hardships and were improving the lives of their families and neighbors. Others were simply the smartest kids in their countries, having scored the highest grades on their national exams. In August, I went home to pack my bags and say goodbye once again to my family. The next morning, I boarded a plane for Johannesburg and began the next chapter of my life. Even though I'd worked extremely hard at my school in Lilongwe, I was still behind in English and math. The classes at ALA were just as difficult as I imagined, and for the first year, I struggled. During the times when my confidence sank low, I would daydream about my village and its simple comforts. I was terribly homesick. So he does go on to say that his spirits lifted and he realized how lucky he was to be where he was. The campus was beautiful and he met a lot of awesome people. And then when he graduated, something awesome happened. His parents left Malawi for the very first time. Graduation day was one I'll never forget. For the first time ever, my parents boarded an airplane and left Malawi. When they landed in Johannesburg, with its bright lights, commotion, and people speaking foreign languages, I didn't know if they would be happy or run terrified back to the plane. It helped that Jeffrey and Mr. Blessings came along to provide support and share the adventure. After a while, they were all laughing and marveling at this modern African city. On graduation day, my father looked so proud. The minute he saw me in my cap and gown, his chest puffed out and a smile spread across his face. He called my mother over. Look at our son. Despite all our troubles, the boy has done it. Yes, she said. William, today you're making your parents very happy. He then goes on to say that he was starting to write this book. So while he was working on the book of his life, he had a friend that was a journalist that came to live with him in his village and interviewed him a lot. And that's when he started writing the book. Then he went on a tour to talk about the book, kind of like as a guest speaker. And he ended up at Dartmouth College in Hanover, New Hampshire. He had already been looking at lots of different colleges to try to pick which one to go to. And he decided that he wanted to go to Dartmouth. He then goes on to say, I won't say that college was easy. Like at ALA, my first year was so challenging that I often got discouraged. At times, it was like climbing up a sheer cliff straight up. But with help of my advisors and tutors, a lot of time spent studying and reading, my second year got a lot better. And by the third year, I was the one helping other students. But not all of my time was spent in the classroom. At Dartmouth, they believe in learning through projects, and labs were the greatest place to tinker and experiment. My first year, some classmates and I built a refrigerator that didn't use electricity, but instead used an intricate system of water pumps and vacuums. It worked, but never got as cold as we wanted, so I'm still playing around with it. Another one of my favorite projects was a kind of vending machine for charging cell phones. Remember when I talked about the sidewalk stalls? The problem is they take too much time, and most people are afraid of leaving their phones unattended. The machine we invented allows people to safely lock away devices while they are getting charged. First, they insert a coin to get a key, which unlocks a personal phone-sized locker with its own power source. Plug in the phone, lock the cubby, and come back in a couple of hours. Best of all, the machine is powered by solar panels, allowing it to be used anywhere in the world. Now it's 2014, and I've graduated from college, and people are asking what I plan to do with my life and where I'm going to live. Sure, it would be nice to stay in the States, find a job in Silicon Valley or New York, and make lots of money, but that's not me. While I really love the United States, both my heart and life's work belong in Africa. I'll spend another year at the design firm in San Francisco with an internship so I can learn more about business and design. And after that, I'm going home. I have a long list of projects that I want to start in Malawi, and several are already underway. After my first appearance at TED, Tom and I started a nonprofit group called Moving Windmills, called the Moving Windmills Project, to help fund local village improvements and pay for tuition. Some of the money comes through donations, while the rest I earn by traveling the US and speaking about my life. So he goes on to explain something really cool, and we're actually going to look at one of the websites for this. He goes on to explain that, the villages in Africa need a lot of help, but if someone just swoops down and is like, look, I fixed your roof, and then leaves, then when the roof gets broken again later, then what are they going to do? So it is like putting a Band-Aid on something. Like, it helps for a little bit, but then when those people leave and they leave with their materials and their tools, then it doesn't really help anymore. So he started working with an organization called buildon.org, which we're going to link for you. And they rebuilt Wambe Primary. However, local men made all the bricks, and the rest of the building materials came from within Malawi. Each building is powered by LED lights, solar panels, and deep cycle batteries. It was important to have the community involved so that everyone felt they shared in the ownership. So they actually, instead of just swooping in and fixing it for them, they came and helped them and empowered them to do it themselves, which I think is really, really important. And I'm going to read this last paragraph to you, and then we're going to be completely done with the book. By coming back home, I want to inspire the next generation of dreamers. Young people comprise over half of the African population, so the future of the continent hinges upon their energy and ideas and the support we give them. But my story isn't just for them. To the kids elsewhere who are reading this book, whether in Chicago, London, or Beijing, I want you to know that your ambitions are just as important and worth achieving, however big or small. Often, people with the best ideas face the greatest challenges: their country at war, a lack of money or education, or lack of support from those around them. But like me, they choose to stay focused because that dream, as far away as it seems, is the truest and most hopeful thing they have. Think of your dreams and ideas as tiny miracle machines inside of you that no one can touch. The more faith you put into them, the bigger they get, until one day they'll rise up and take you with them. We're done. Thank you for hanging in there with us. We really, really appreciate you guys finishing out this book with us. Head on over to Google Classroom so we can talk about the conclusion.